need to plug my mic in.
All right. So we are live across multiple social media methods and as old school as this industry gets on Free Conference Call HD. If you are watching, hi, appreciate you guys with us today. If you are listening, we appreciate that equally as much. Don't forget, when we hang up on the conference call line at 9:25, 9:30, you can still watch the rest of the training on StreamYard. You can watch it on my Facebook page. You can watch it on Insurance Life and In Between. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it in a lot of different places, but just because we hang up on the conference call at 9:30 doesn't mean the fun stops. Good morning and welcome into our third Dynamic Friday. I am up in the attic today as it is the quietest spot in the house, if quiet is even a possibility today. So pardon the pink background. I promise I haven't painted the office if you're watching or watch later in the future. Like I said, we're live on Facebook. We're on StreamYard. We're on YouTube. And as always, we're dialed in on Free Conference Call HD for the first 30 minutes of today's training. This is a really exciting opportunity to start your end your week off strong and start your day off properly. And to get out the door at around 10:15 a.m. Eastern and turn this week into a profitable conclusion. Today, you're going to hear about true ground level sales experiences. We're going to talk about practical, semi-practical ways you can end the week on a profitable note. And then we're going to get you out there so you can go out there and make that thing happen. As we get settled in this morning, I need your help in making sure that everybody that wants to be on and learn something has access to this information. So if you have the StreamYard link, share it out to others that may not currently have it. If you're not sure how to use it, let me know in the future and I can walk you through it. And if you have others you just want to send the conference call number to, go ahead and circulate that as well. Our attendance on Fridays is ever increasing. And it doesn't just increase because I send out the link to a couple people. Our attendance on Fridays increases when you help us make that happen. And the more we take this conversation from Free Conference Call HD to the entire social media ethos that exists out there, the more the general public can get access to the information, the training, and the knowledge that you hear every single day. So the more you share it, the more people learn, and the more people learn, the better we all get together. So as we get settled in this morning, send out a text to a friend, invite an agent on that needs a special reminder and some special attention. Hey, reach out to that recruit you've been having a conversation with over and over and over again as you build that relationship and get them involved in the training that we do. You guys may not know it because you don't see what I see on a regular basis, but the amount of guests on yesterday's conference call was definitely noticeable. How do I notice that? It didn't have their name. It was just a phone number. So that means you're circulating our information out to others, which we greatly appreciate. Do the same thing again today. And before I turn the conversation over to Adam for a great portion of the rest of today's call, I wanted to share my thoughts on how that you can end this week on a positive, a profitable, and a productive note. You hear me say it all the time, but what does that really mean? Like, it sounds nice. You could put it on a shirt. You could tattoo it to your back. But like, how do I take that phrase, that catchphrase, and go out there and actually make money today? So with the, and also keep in mind why that's important. Many of our agents, we keep track of our goals, right? Many of the agents that are dedicated to their business need like another 1,000, another 1,500 today to really end the week where they need to be. Our agents on the career program have very specific production goals that must be met for them to receive new leads. Many of them are 1,000 or 1,500 away from hitting that goal. So today's training between myself and Adam is designed to help you make that extra application or two, either on the broker or the career side, to make the money necessary to push this ball forward from this week into the next. So let's talk some ways that I thought this morning would be useful to you to help wrap up your Friday. Number one, treat Friday like Tuesday. Tuesday, for years after years after years, we've almost been doing this, 4 or 5 years together under this agency. Tuesday has always been our biggest day. Why that is, I'm probably a number of different ways, but treat Friday just as way that you treated Tuesday. Get out of your head and get into the field. Get out of your head and get onto the phone if you sell over the phone. Remembering that the numbers are in your favor, especially this time of the week. You might have had an absolutely horrible week. Like you may be on this call or watching us now or sometime in the future and purely doubting you have the capacity to do this. But if you keep doing it and you do it into the end of the week, the numbers are in your favor today. Knock 25 doors, and I guarantee it, today especially, you're going to give 4 presentations, and one of those people will just like you enough and know they're going to die to need insurance. Dial enough calls, take enough transfers, talk to enough people over the phone, and you're going to sell something the same way. Friday, if you give it the same activity level that you gave Tuesday, is going to turn into a profitable day. I already said it, but I'll repeat it. Friday, the numbers are in your favor as long as you remember there's no B-backs. Like if you get in front of someone today, you get them on the phone, even if it's a referral, you get at the door and you are face to face with somebody in your target market, give a damn presentation. Like, I don't care if they kick you off the property. I don't care if I have to talk to the cops because the cops showed up. If you get in front of someone today and they are in your target demographic, there are no B-backs today. It's Friday. Don't book them for an appointment on Saturday. Don't go try and see them next week. Strike while the iron is hot. Let me tell you another story. I had a referral call me, I don't know, like maybe a week and a half ago. It was pure chaos in the house, and I chose to blow it off and tell the person, I'll call them next week. Guess what happened? I haven't been able to get them on the phone. It was probably the easiest lay down sale of I don't know what I'd have ever stumbled into. But because I didn't strike when the iron is hot, I missed that opportunity. Maybe me not taking that level of effort cost me $611 of an initial enrollment. Who knows? To moral of the story, strike while the iron is hot, especially today. And as you're out there today, look for that neighbor in the right across the street, sitting out there that you can strike a conversation with. Talk to the people in the hallway, in the elevator. Gather the referrals and flip the referral into a same-day sit. Go through your book of business. I can guarantee that anybody watching and anybody listening right now has somebody in their book of business that you can write a $30 a month policy to. I guarantee it. I guarantee there's somebody on the conference call line or watching today that has somebody in their book of business that fell off 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago that if you just went back and you saw, you could write them back up again. It's Friday. It's go time. And writing 0 is unacceptable and is not the answer. Next on the list. If you fall short today, go out on Saturday. Look at it a different way. If you fall short today and you still need the money, guess what? You still have all of tomorrow to make that kind of thing happen. Let me look at it a different way. Imagine you had a job, a job. God bless you for that one. And you chose to work that profession. That's a choice that you've made. And you're making $35 an hour, like many, public safety professionals are making. Not a lot, but $35 an hour. And you went out there and you worked 40 hours a week from Monday through Friday at $35 an hour. You'd bring home about $1,120, about what you can make in one application. You bring home $1,100 in that 40-hour period, but you know that $1,100 isn't going to pay all the bills, isn't going to buy all the groceries, isn't going to keep the lights on or the heat moving. What do? You go out and you pick up overtime. You pick up a second job. You pick up a side hustle to make the money necessary to pay the bills. Now, I'm not advocating that you get a job, a side hustle or whatever. I'm advocating that if you need to make the additional money to keep yourself operational, you pick up that overtime shift late today or tomorrow to make that kind of thing happen. Totally possible. Next on the list, if you know that you're just about 1 or 2 applications short of your goal, just go out there and get it. If you're on the career program, you know that you need to write 3,000 to 3,500 unless you're in week 3 in that early maturation phase to get more leads. So go out there and make it happen. Put a little bit of extra stress on yourself. Put a little extra motivation behind yourself and put yourself in front of enough people to write that 1 or 2 applications necessary to keep your presence in that program solvent. Number 5, get back to the basics today. Like, as much as you might need to put a little extra pressure on yourself, as much as you might need to stay out a little bit later, as much as you might need to go out on Saturday if you need to work overtime, get back to the basics. When you get into a presentation, discover what the problem is, uncover what the need is, and fix it. Very simple. I talked to a career agent that works for Baltimore Life yesterday that's been in this business nearly as long as I've been on this earth. And he said something very familiar. Discover the problem, solve the problem, uncover the need, give them what they need, stuff like that. Get back to the basics. You can help people save money with their health coverage and use the money you saved them to write them final expense coverage. Let's think outside the box a little bit. If you save somebody 30, 40, 75, $100 a month, reallocate that into a different need that they have. You can save somebody money or dig a little bit deeper. You can sell them something without taking more of their money. Next, get back to the basics and make sure that you're showing solid average premium. I know I repeat this probably 3 times a week, but as you talk about the basics in selling today, show them 50, 75, and 100. Tell them, not ask them, tell them to go get their policy that they currently have so you can review it so they can make sure that it is what they think that it is. Guys, every single person I ran into this week who had insurance literally didn't have what they think they did. One lady had a universal life policy. Another one had a term policy. You all know these stories, but if you aren't asking, you're not finding and you're not upgrading. Get back to the basics and call from the home. I've got a 11 o'clock issue today that I'm not going to be available for, but throughout the rest of the day, I want my phone to blow up. I want you to get in the home, John Washoe, and call from the home like you did when you came here and you killed it. And when you get to the basics, you make the money. Number 5, build the emotion in the sale. Like if you've been struggling this week, you know why you've been struggling this week? You're not building enough emotion. It doesn't become important enough to them. The fact that if they don't do anything hasn't become relevant enough to them. Get back to the basics and build that emotion in the sale today. Create the urgency necessary to move them to action. And remember, when they meet somebody in active mode like yourself, they're going to want to take action themselves. If you get into the home looking lazy and acting lazy and feeling tired, they're not going to be inspired to do anything, are they? Of course not. So discover and uncover, save and sell, show the premiums you know you can sell, call from the home, build the emotion, move them to urgency, and take the action necessary to write that additional business necessary to move it from this week into the next. So Adam, that's all that I got for my open today. I want to hear a little bit. I'm excited to hear about the sales that you made over the course of this week because I haven't heard anything about them personally. When you're out there selling, I don't hear much because you're focused on doing the responsibilities of the business. So I personally am ready to take some notes and hear about your business and the sales you made this week. The floor is yours.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, you're right, Chris. When I'm out in the field, I'm pretty nonstop. Like I say, I'm always searching or looking for the next sale. And that's kind of how my week was this week was, we talk about the appointment setting and the value of having the appointment set. Not all the time do we get, a full day's worth of appointments set up. Sometimes we need to just kind of figure out what to do throughout our day. And that's just kind of how it goes. And that's fine. I mean, for years, all I ever did was door knock anyways. So, this week was a big mix of a lot of different ways of generating business that I think maybe some of you guys could even pick up a few things from it. The first sale I made was on Tuesday. That was actually a appointment that was set. It was an appointment that was set for either last week or the week before, and it was a no-show. I showed up, the guy wasn't there. That happens. It's part of it. And I think a lot of times maybe if people get stood up, they have a no-show, they just kind of brush it off. They move on. They never go back. But I've always kind of had that mindset of, well, this person inquired for a reason. Things happen. People forget that they had an appointment set. That doesn't mean that they just don't need coverage. So, so that one, it was a door knock earlier in the day on Tuesday. I know it was like before noon. And it's just kind of a nice way to just kind of get my week started out in the field because I'm not out in the field on Mondays and Fridays for the most part. Usually just Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays I'm out in the field. So yeah, this one was a door knock on the door. And the guy was actually in the middle of taking out some other sort of policy over the phone when I got there. And I told him, I'm like, well, why don't you just tell that guy to hold on or call them back or something because I'm local, I'm here, and we can sit down and we can go over this. And so that's pretty much what he did. He got off the phone. We went and sat down. We went through things. And I wrote a pretty good policy. It was like $1,500 in premium. And this was a no-show that went back and door knocked about maybe, I don't know, like I said, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, but it was at least probably a couple weeks ago, I think, that it was a no-show. But went back, like I said, $1,500 in premium, where I think a lot of people, like I said, on a no-show, they're just not going to go back. They're just going to be like, you know what, screw that. I'm just going to move on. If someone's going to stand me up, then they're not worth my time. But like I said, I kind of look at it as things happen. People forget. There's still a need there. They filled out the card for a reason. You just kind of have to treat it that way. That was the only sale that I made on Tuesday. Majority of the rest of the day, Tuesday, I might have had a few appointments, might have been some no-shows, did some door knocks. Just that was pretty much it for the day. Oh, and I remember, I had to cut off early on Tuesday. My wife needed my help with running our kids around a little bit later in the day. And so I think I came home about 3:00, which I don't like to do, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes, family comes first. So they needed my help. I was able to help cut the day short a little bit, but still ended up $1,500 on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, same thing. I don't think I really had a whole lot of appointments set. Those appointments that I did have, I don't feel like I really got anywhere with the people. Majority, it looks like I'm looking at my Wednesday schedule. Didn't really have a whole lot off of the appointments, but Tuesday, first sale I made, it was a door knock, and this was a direct mail lead that was probably 5 months old. I just happened to be in that area, and like I've always said, when I'm in an area, I'm gonna go through my leads. I'm gonna see who else I have in that area that I can catch up with. Kind of the same mindset. These people sent this thing back for a reason, regardless of whether my appointment setters got a hold of them and they got blown off over the phone. They told them they weren't interested. They hung up on them. Whatever. A lot of times, what happens with the appointment setting and the fact that I'm ordering leads every single week is that I start to build up that inventory of leads. So people might not be contacted immediately by me. The appointment setters, they're going to get a hold of them right away. But like I said, a lot of times when the appointment setters call, they might just, the person on the other line just might have that mindset of, well, they might just think it's a telemarketer calling them, and they just don't want to give them the time of day. It's like they're preset to just say no, pre-programmed to just say no over the phone and hang up on them. So, but I've always kind of had that mindset, even if I was calling. I've always said, if they tell me no over the phone, well, that's one thing. They still have to tell me no to my face too. So same thing. Like I said, I door knocked that lead, $718 in premium on a lead that was, like I said, about 5 months old now. The next one that day was, it was actually one that I wrote last week. I talked about a little bit on the end of the call last week. It was a husband and wife. I wrote the husband, I wrote the wife, and the wife was like referred to underwriting. It ended up coming back modified. I ended up going back and writing it with another carrier this week, and was able to get her the same amount of coverage at a premium that was right about the same price. So she was happy. Like I even told her the day when I was there the first time that if it comes back, don't worry about, if it comes back and they try to rate it up or whatever, don't worry about it. I'll be back, and we can, I'm sure we can still get you covered. So that's what happened. Ended up going and rewriting her, and she was happy. So that one wasn't as big. I think it was like around $40 a month. It was like $468 annualized. And then yesterday morning, I decided to go through some of my lapses, and I had one that I wrote last month that was a lapse that I actually got an email back from the carrier, and they said, well, we decided that for now on, if a piece of business lapse, that agents will not be able to rewrite that person for 12 months. So we're not going to accept this application. And I think I might have just missed the email. I didn't even realize the thing never went through. And I think I was going through my emails the other day and I saw it. But anyways, I was going through my emails and then just kind of going through my lapses. And I got a hold of this lady because same thing. She knows she still needs coverage. Things happen. I mean, people don't go in to taking out a policy with the mindset of, well, I hope I lose this in 2 months. Like they go in with the mindset of this is something that I need forever, but sometimes things just happen. So anyways, went in and I rewrote her a policy with another carrier, and it was $1,000 in premium. It was like 1034 AP. So, and then the last one of the day was one that it's kind of the same thing. It wasn't a lapse. It was like a NTO, meaning that it never really took full effect. It was actually one that was my own fault. I screwed up on the bank account information. I wrote two policies on this guy and his buddy. They like live together, and his buddy's policy went through fine. And then I noticed that I screwed up the bank account number, and I tried calling into the carrier to provide the updated information, and they're like, "Well, the client has to call in." I called back with the client on the line, and they said, "Well, no, you can't be on the phone too. The client has to call in himself." And it just turned into just a big headache. Ended up just like I said, at NTO'd. And then I went back last night. I just door knocked the guy. I was in the area, and same thing. He still needs the coverage. So I went back, I rewrote him, and that was like 900 in premium. Uh, so you know what? And I just kind of look at it, like these pieces of business, like the one that I wrote with the one carrier where they came back modified. Well, that's like money that I would just be leaving on the table if I didn't go back and rewrite the person something else. I think that's another thing. I think sometimes that happens too, where agents, they don't go back. They it just kind of falls through the cracks. But I mean, that's premium that's right there that heck, I want to make money too. So, and just like the two yesterday, I mean, a lapse. Well, I mean, I more than likely got hit with a charge back. Well, I lost money there. So let's write that person again and recoup that money. And then the other one, the NTO, same thing. I know I got hit with a charge back on. Well, let's rewrite it, recoup that money and like I said, that one was my own fault. So far for the week, I'm at, I don't know, 4,600 in premium, I think. And I usually don't go out in the field on Fridays, but I did door knock one the other day, and it's a husband and wife. And I set up the appointment for like 1 o'clock, I think for yesterday or something. I ended up getting a call back. I noticed it was the guy calling the same day that I was there that I door knocked it. And he's like, you know what? And usually that's going to be like a cancellation, like, never mind, we changed our mind. We don't want you to come back. But I picked up the phone. I had a pretty decent conversation with the guy hanging out front of his house. So I picked up the phone. He said, yeah, you know what? I talked to my wife, and we were wondering if you could come back at 1 o'clock on Friday. So heck yeah, I'm going to go back at 1 o'clock today. I mean, that to me, if they're calling to set up a new time, as long as they're there, I feel like there's a real good chance I'm going to do some business there. So yeah, I told him, sure, I can come back at 1 o'clock on Friday. And then I actually might even be heading out on Sunday. I have a guy, same thing, him and his wife. He wants the coverage. I talked to him briefly the other day. The only day that his wife can really meet, or the only day that they're together because of their work schedules, is on Sunday. So it's like, you got to do what you got to do. You know what? It's fall. It's football season. I like sitting around watching football on Sundays, but you know what? Heck, if I have a chance to go out there and write some business and help some people and make some money, well, that's going to come first. Uh, so yeah, I might even be out on Sunday this week. So that's about all. I don't know where Chris kind of disappeared. It looks like oh, okay. He's here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, just kind of like what I said for my week. I mean, go through your leads, look for opportunities. If you've been in the business a while, go back to your policyholders. Even, I mean, even if you're brand new, I mean, we've talked about this in the past. You could go back 30 days after you wrote a policy and just make sure that they receive their policy. At that point, they maybe trust you a little bit more because everything you told them the first time came true. And it's a good opportunity to even be able to write additional business. Mrs. Jones, I know you took out the 15,000 with me 3 weeks ago. I just wanted to let you know that you were actually pre-approved for 35,000. Do you want to take care of that today? And a lot of times we tested it a couple years ago, like 2 out of 5 that we went back to within the 30 days, people were adding additional coverage. So there's sales to be made out there. Sometimes you just gotta hunt for them and maybe do a little bit of extra. Like I said, if I just depended on appointments this week, I would have ended up pretty much with nothing. I didn't write one piece of business this week off of a preset appointment, but it's because I did all the extra that I had a successful week. 4,600 in premium in 3 days. Most agents would be pretty happy with that, and I'm happy. But I like to write over 5,000, so I'm going out today, and like I said, might even be out Sunday. I'm pretty confident I'll probably end up close to 6,000 or 7,000 for the week. So, but yeah, you can find the sales if you look hard enough. All right, we'll be
Yeah.
getting going here with our training momentarily. We're gonna just kind of do like a live podcast episode today, so yeah, bear with us here. We're gonna go through our audio, make sure we have everything set up correctly,
Adam, you
and
should be
then we
I should be
will
unmuted, but
get
go
started here. So
feel free to open up your part. I got to be back in just a second.
okay. So
All right,
yeah.
Adam, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Chris? So Chris will be back momentarily. Yeah, the topic for today, like I said, we're just going to kind of do a kind of like a little podcast episode. We record our podcast. We try to record every week, but sometimes things get in the way, and especially over summer, we were pretty busy. But I think we're going to get back into the swing of at least throwing some episodes out there on the video format at least a few times a week. The audio, I've tried my best to keep up with it, and I mean, if you look, I don't think I've missed a week. I've always had at least one episode out there every week. This week, I think we posted 2 or 3. So yeah, we're kind of getting back in the swing with all that. But like I said, today we'll be talking about accountability, and I think I just titled it, the accountability mindset and what that takes to have a successful business. So I don't know if you want to. Are you ready, Chris? If you want to kind of lead off and maybe talk a little bit about accountability.
Yeah, I got a couple notes written down. Just kind of have to transition from this thing to that thing, and I'm not good at any of the things. But guess what? You get better by just doing it over and over again. And Adam putting up with me during it. So personal accountability to me, I wrote down a few things because I like to come up with lists, especially on with limited time to kind of flesh everything out. But I think lists translate super well. Personal accountability to me sort of means, number one, being solution and opportunity focused. Adam, I think it's so easy in life and in business to get negativity, like to be infected by it. And before you know it, it's just like your general operating state, as if you put on this shirt of negativity every day and don't even realize it. So I think it's important when you're taking and developing personal accountability to be solution focused. Like, how can I make the situation better? What can I learn from it? What's the opportunity in it? Because Adam, a lot of times what I found in personal accountability and in adversity and in challenges that we've faced in business is it's actually just an opportunity in disguise. Like a December, for example, my brand new appointment setter that I hired for annual enrollment that was doing an amazing job text me while I'm Christmas shopping that she's retiring. And I'm like, damn it. Like, that's really frustrating. But if that lady hadn't retired, Adam, this entire appointment system that we had willed into existence wouldn't exist. That's an amazing opportunity that we took from taking accountability in a situation of adversity, right?
Yeah. Well, for those of you that were just on the call that earlier here, uh, and those who are watching the podcast now, I talked about how my week went and how I didn't write any business off of any of our preset appointments. Our appointment setters do a really good job. Sometimes people just aren't home. I could have called and set up an appointment; they wouldn't have been home. Or the appointments that I had, maybe I just didn't get anywhere with the people. That's just part of the business. But yeah, I could have sat around and just been like, man, this sucks. These appointments, I'm not getting anywhere with these people. These appointment setters, what's the deal here? Like, no, I take my own, I put it into my own hands and figure out ways to, like you said, you kind of have to be solution focused and you focus on the solution rather than the problem. And if I focused on the problem this week with just, not having as much success on the appointments, I would have wrote nothing. And I'm at, like I said, it's Friday. I'm at 4,600 for the week with still a few appointments to go. So yeah, I could have had nothing this week. I ended up, having a pretty decent week because I went out and I looked for sales and I focused on the solutions rather than focusing on the fact that just wasn't really having a whole lot of luck on my appointments.
Yep. And here's the other thing, not the other thing, one of the next things on my list. Personal accountability to me is recognizing when a situation is a you problem and you're the only one that can fix it. And that sucks. That's tough to hear. That's tough to rationalize. That's tough to overcome. But realistically, most problems in business as personal producers are you problems. Like, what can you do to improve the situation? What did you do to create the situation? What do you do to make it better and get over it? Very little about what happens above you in the strata of this industry can negatively affect your ability to bang doors, dial the phone, and write business. You can solve most of the problems out there if you want to will it into existence. Next thing I have on the list is when it comes to personal accountability is being activity focused. Like 99.9% of personal producer problems are activity problems, plain and simple. You don't have to be good at this. You don't have to be good looking. You don't have to have a spiritual gift or a physical talent. You just have to put in the activity necessary. And when we're talking about personal accountability, we have to take accountability for our activity and our actions. Next, I also wrote down, Adam, I see a lot of agents really, really struggle with this one. And it's taking personal accountability for learning some things on their own, being an active learner, but not letting that that learning keep them from selling. I never expected my upline to tell me what lisinopril was for. I never expected my original upline in the business to tell me how to conserve or rewrite or change a beneficiary on a Transamerica policy. I didn't expect them to tell me how to do something I could look up and figure out on my own. And I think that's an important aspect of taking accountability and ownership over your business. It's understanding that you need to take responsibility for figuring out how to learn some of the things that come with this business from the people that you trust that have provided the resources to make that happen. Now, being an active learner doesn't mean going on Facebook and asking the world, who most of them are pretty broke, how to fix a problem. It means using the resources you have available to figure out how to get a little bit better in the margins. What are your thoughts on being an active learner without it letting you slow down your production?
I think that a lot of times people, especially in our business, even new agents, where they're so focused on making sure they have everything down like just right before they want to like move forward and do anything else. And I mean, we learn from just getting out there and doing it. Me and you, we can help people as much as I want, or as much as we want. But, like we've said in the past, we can't want it more than the person who is getting out there to do it. But that's the first step, getting out there and doing it. And I've learned more in this business, honestly, just from getting out there and doing it and figuring out what works, figuring out what doesn't, lots of trial and error. But again, I think it's more just kind of that own accountability sort of thing. I can get whatever I want to out of this business if I put my mind to it, but it's on me. It's not on anybody else. Everybody else is just there. Yeah, they're willing to help. Great. At the end of the day, it's on me. And I had a guy once, I remember, I probably talked about this in the past, but I trained this guy. We went out probably 2 or 3 days in a row. He ordered 80 direct mail leads and never wrote any business. And I would call the guy and try to figure out what was going on. And he's like, well, I don't have my presentation down quite right yet. So I spent all that money on these leads, and I just don't want to get out there, and I don't want to waste the leads. These leads are $30 a piece. I don't want to waste the leads. I want to just wait until I have everything down just right. And you know what? If you wait until you have everything down just right, you're never going to get started. And, talking about you problems, Chris, you mentioned as accountability issues. And I think that in our business, really all sales, I think a lot of salespeople just have egos. That's just, they have egos, and they don't want to blame themselves for their failures. They're always looking for other excuses, other reasons why they're not succeeding outside of anything that's within their own doing or whatever they could do to like I said, they're focusing on the problems rather than the solutions. But I think that something like that too can be very, I'm trying to think of a good word, almost, I don't know, not contagious, but like it happens over and over to those sort of people where,
you know what it is?
Yeah.
You know what it is it's that I've seen that exact same archetype of a person before, and they think it and you think it. You're like, how the hell does everything possible go wrong with this person? Or maybe you feel that you're waste yourself sometimes. You're willing it into existence. Like I'm not into like the spiritual, like metaphysical stuff, but you're willing that into existence yourself. Like you're actually speaking and seeking problems to come your way. If you're not being solution focused and positive and productive and profitable and motivated, well, you're going to be in the opposite realm. Like there really is not a lot of middle ground in this business and in entrepreneurship. So if you're finding every problem in the world that's seeking you out, you're probably looking for it and not even realizing it.
Well, yeah, that brings up, I think so much of this is mindset. And, we talk about like the law of attraction. If you've ever listened or read the book, The Secret, they talk a lot about that, how our thoughts, they compound, and how they say like attracts like. Basically, the more you think about something, those thoughts are going to compound. The more bad you're thinking about something, the more negative thoughts you're going to have, and the worse things are going to get. It's like you have to try to turn that around. You got to shift that mindset and focus again, kind of focus more on the solutions. If I went out there and had one appointment Tuesday that just was a no-show, and I just was ticked off about it and just focused on that all day, I wouldn't have wrote any business. So, so much of this too. Kind of going back to the whole mindset plays a big factor too, I think, when it comes to this.
Yeah, I think another thing too, and I didn't write this down, but it's just kind of coming to me between the Celsius and the coffee this morning, is personal accountability is understanding what your upline's responsibility is and what it isn't. And this is a tough one because, we are uplines, as much as a weird word that is. Your upline's responsibility is to provide you lead resources. Here's a direct mail program. Here's a digital opportunity. Here's aged inventory. Your decision on which one do you purchase. Your upline's responsibility is to provide you training. Like here's a presentation. Here's a resource of additional learning opportunities. Here's what you need to do. Your upline's responsibility is to provide you competitive products to sell and to teach you when the best opportunity is to use them. Your upline Your upline's responsibility is to provide a small degree of motivation to get you kickstarted and out the door. And then the rest is you. Like the rest is on you to take all of what they provided, that 65%, and put in the 45% necessary to make money come out of. I think so many agents, not necessarily in our agency, because those are the best of the best, but I think so many agents in the industry misunderstand what personal accountability really means because they're expecting their upline to freaking hand them the sale on a silver platter instead of going out there and ground force making that kind of thing happen on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember when I worked for that company for 7 years, and when agents were failing and they would try to go around me telling whoever that they just weren't trained good enough. Like, you kidding me? I mean, what else do you need me to do? Like, do you need me to, hold your hand? And I'm not going to take you out there and make sales for you. Like, if that's what you're looking for, like, that's not how this works. You have to get out there and do it. I'll teach you. I'll show you how to do it. But even when I've trained agents, like, I'm not giving agents sales. That's just not how this works. You give an agent a sale, and then anytime they're struggling, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to call you to try to get you to go out there to help make them a sale. So
Yeah.
Same thing, accountability. You got to put it into your own hands and get to work. And like I said, just so much of this, you just got to figure out what works and figure out what doesn't. And you can think of the uplines as just one kind of part of your business that are willing to help you and support you. But as we've said in the past, we can't want it more than the person who is out there. They're struggling. And another thing, heck, if they're struggling, they need to reach out and
Communicate.
And
Good Lord,
yeah,
communicate.
Yeah, exactly. Communication, figure it out. Let's sit and talk about it. And I think sometimes people, they're in and out of the business because they're just not willing to admit that maybe they were the problem. Maybe they weren't putting the time in. Maybe they had trouble getting out of bed in the morning. It's a lot harder to quit than to actually figure out a solution and get out there and be successful. People would rather sit around and complain about, what a tough business it is.
Adam, it's interesting. I knew of an agent. It wasn't in my hierarchy years and years ago. And he was better looking. He was a better talker. He was like a guitar player in Atlantic City. Like the man had everything you needed to make $300,000 a year, but he overthought the business. He showed me a spreadsheet one day at a team meeting and I already knew he was going to fail. Like the damn thing was color coded and plotted out to a point of overthought. And then he said to me, man, I just have a hard time getting out of bed and getting into the field. I'm like, are you an adult? Do you have money you need to make? Like, I get it. I mean, when you operate as like a musician and you live that lifestyle, it's a little bit different. But when I used to work 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. and I worked 11 until 11 p.m. the night before, I had trouble getting out of bed because it was 4:10 in the morning and I had been asleep for 3 hours. But like, you got to have take some adult responsibility for yourself. If you say to yourself, man, I have trouble getting out in the field in the morning, and grow up. And I mean that in a loving and respectful sense. But I also think, Adam, when we talk personal responsibility, we have to take patience in the process. So many agents, especially in our business, because it's a very instant business. One call close, you write a good case, you're paid in 72 hours, that kind of stuff. Very instant results. But you have to take patience in the overall process. You have to operate and work like you're broke the first 2 years of the business until one day you look back and you're not. You got to take patience in the process, especially in building. You're going to bring people on and they're not going to do a damn thing. It wasn't your fault. You're going to bring people on and they're going to flop within the first 6 months. Probably was their fault. You're going to bring people on and one of those is eventually going to set fire and inspire you to keep looking for more. Got to take patience in the process. But you have to follow the process correctly. Like if you're doing it wrong, it's not going to work. And I think that's such a silly thing to say, but I think when we realize how silly that sounds, we do it correctly. Like if you said to me today, don't send me leads, I'm not taking appointments next week, nothing's going to happen. Like you're so used to the process and the process working the way it's supposed to. If you pull the plug on the process, you would probably agree with me that nothing's going to happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, the key word there is consistency. And I think that's in every business. You got to be consistent with what works. And if ordering leads every week is working, if having those appointments set is working, and it works. I mean, yeah, I mean, we're talking about the big picture this week. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of luck on my appointments, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to have appointments next week. It's about being consistent. The numbers they work. So maybe the numbers this week weren't great, but last week every single sale I made was off of an appointment.
It's the
So
averages. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's not like this week. Okay, well, no appointments, but that's the thing. I think so many people are small-minded. They're thinking, this small-minded thinking, and they're real quick to just snap their fingers and try to switch gears rather than just kind of staying the course. And even like you talked about this guy that you were working with that told you, his trouble was getting out of bed. Well, he was focused on the problem. He's focused on the fact that he couldn't get out of bed. The solution is set up a 9 a.m. appointment every day. I mean, that's for me. I mean, I've never had trouble getting out of bed. I mean, I have four, five, six alarm clocks in my house, all these kids and dogs. So, I mean, I don't even need to set an alarm. But I mean, I do like to have that early appointment because it gets me out of the house and it starts my day right away. So, yeah, the 9 a.m. appointment is great to have. If you have trouble getting out of bed, set up that early appointment, set the alarm. You got to be out and ready to work then. If you miss the appointment, well, you got to hold yourself accountable for that.
Yeah, I think that I have a couple more points that I wrote down here when it comes to personal accountability that would be useful is besides taking patience in the process, besides following the process correctly, is accepting as a personal producer, even in a builder, you control the outcome. Really nobody else. Well, really more personal producer than builder. Builder becomes person dependent. You control the outcome. Like nobody else is going to make it happen unless you make it happen. Of course, winners are going to win no matter where they are. They're just going to make more money with us. They're going to do it more efficiently. They're going to build a better back-end income with Medicare. But really, winners are going to win wherever they're at. There's millionaires at Lincoln Heritage. There's millionaires at Senior Life. There's millionaires that work for all kinds of different organizations that may not be as efficient or as profitable, but they take patience in the process. They follow the process, and they recognize that they control the outcome. What I'm really getting at here is it's also important when you talk personal accountability to accept what you're good at and use that to your advantage the same way that you would recognize what you're bad at and overcompensate with your strengths. Nobody's good at everything. Equally, nobody is bad at everything either. You just have to recognize, what am I good at doing? And maybe take this weekend or whenever you watch this to do some self-reflection on this. What am I good at? Okay. What am I bad at? Oh, this is awful to look at. Okay, how do I put these things together to blend them together and push the ball forward? I think people love to see what they're good at. They never want to look at what they're bad at. But when they see those things, they can kind of overcompensate and really do themselves a lot better.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think that, even putting a schedule together and, maybe take some time to focus on the stuff that you're not good at, try to get better at it, rather than just continuing to move forward with things. Or, maybe there's some things that are part of your business that you're not good at that you can have somebody else help you out with. I mean, heck, for instance, even like the appointment setting. I mean, I see the value in having the appointment set and having that structure and having the, every day kind of seeing what the day is going to look like. But I've never liked calling and setting up appointments. I've never enjoyed talking to people on the phone outside of like agents and helping agents and stuff like that. But I've never liked setting up appointments. I don't know. I'm more confident in person. I'm more confident just going to the door. I think just because maybe that's just kind of how I've always done it. But heck, I'd rather pay these appointment setters to do it. I'm not great at it. They're going to do a better job than me at it. And that's going to open up more time too, for me to kind of focus on selling. And even heck, on Monday, I could very easily be calling and set up appointments for my Tuesday, but I would rather use that time on Monday to focus on recruiting and working with agents and keeping track of business, those sort of things. So, sometimes maybe we just need to pass those tasks along to others, the tasks that maybe we're not the best at.
Yeah, I think it's so important to recognize what are hourly tasks you can outsource to others. What are administrative responsibilities that you can delay until you've got other time to do it? What are some things you can delegate within your family to kind of actively involve them in your family business? What are things you can just disregard altogether? Like, you don't have to do that. That's not important. It's a waste of time. It's not a profitable activity. Adam, I took personal accountability at the fact that I was still printing my leads like it was 2016, and you laughed at me and Nick said it was silly. And the whole world is like, what are you doing? I disregarded the task altogether, put them a notability, and I probably saved myself 45 minutes of my life every weekend, just like getting better at things that I wasn't good at. The last thought I have, because I know we're trying to wrap up around 10 a.m. today, is I was talking to somebody, I think I mentioned it earlier, and we kind of both agreed that in a sense, now this isn't an excuse, it's in a sense that the business has gotten harder. People are harder to get on the phone. They're harder to get in front of. Many of the demographic is aging out, and less responsible people are aging into our target demographic. All kinds of different things. It is getting harder, but in so many other senses, the business is getting easier. Like e-applications, the iCover platform, Transamerica's new e-application. So much of our business is getting easier that it's overcoming the facts of the business that are getting harder. I think when we take personal accountability for our results, do you think it's okay to say, yeah, it got a little harder in some ways, but it also got really freaking easier in other ways too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that, with the e-apps, it does make things a lot easier. I mean, for me, I don't know. I don't feel like business has really gotten harder. I guess maybe the fact that returns aren't as good as they used to be when it comes to direct mail. Maybe I got to spend a little bit more money on leads. Maybe that makes it a little bit harder, but I don't know. I don't even really think about it. I don't even really think about the money I'm spending on leads because I know I'm going to come out ahead. It's harder maybe to get people on the phone. Even when I'm sitting down with people tell me all the time, yeah, if I don't recognize a number, I'm not picking it up.
But I'm sitting in front of them. They must have picked up. Yeah, they picked up for us.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, they still picked it up. So it's just harder. The difference is, our appointment setters, they're going to call that person until they pick up. They're going to call that person 100 times if they have to. So sooner or later, they're going to pick up. Just law of averages. Sooner or later, they're going to be like, who the heck keeps calling me? So, but
and every time it's on a different phone number too.
That harder task to someone else who's going to take that time. I don't have the time to call someone 100 times to finally get them to pick it up, but we have somebody that does. And only other thing I'd like to mention too, Chris, about holding ourselves accountable is that if you're in the business and you jump around from one place to another, and it's always everybody else's fault, and nobody's out to get you. Honestly, nobody's sitting around going, what can I do to screw this guy over today? And if you have that mindset, you know what's going to happen. You're going to keep feeling like you got screwed over. But I know, Chris, we've talked about that. I don't have the time to look at our list of agents, be like, let's see, who can I get this week? It's just not part of it. We're there to help and support and do what we can to see that people succeed in the business. But so many times, kind of talking about the whole me problem thing and all that. And so many times I feel like people, I left that group because they just weren't trustworthy. And then they go to the next place and, oh man, they screwed this up. So then I moved on to another. And then this other place, they did something too that just wasn't right. And like, God, nobody's perfect. I mean, things happen, but I just think that it's kind of the same thing. Nobody's out to get you.
Yeah, I said it on the Monday call. The people that are above us in the hierarchy in the industry are too rich to care about screwing people over, and they're honestly too damn busy to figure out how to screw people over. Yeah, they may not get to everything that we want them to get to in the time that we want them to get to it. That's life. I'm sorry. But realistically, they're too rich and they are too busy to worry about somebody 2 levels below us and how to screw them over. That's just the facts of it. I saw it in the Denzel Washington Facebook short. You think about yourself way more than other people think about you. You think about yourself all the time because you are yourself. But realistically, other people aren't thinking about you that much. And I can assure you, they're not partying in Philadelphia and gambling and thinking to themselves, man, how do I screw that guy that's 2 levels deep from Chris and Adam? I've never heard of him. I've never met him. I make like 32 cents off him. But guess what? I'm going to F him over this week somehow. They do not do that. Trust me.
No, it doesn't happen. And I think that's a mentality that you got to snap out of, or you're never going to be successful. It's just going to be repetitive. Everywhere you go, you're never going to succeed because you're always waiting for that next person to screw you over. When really they're really not.
Yeah. Now, do people get screwed over? Sure. Do people get taken advantage of? Yes. But also take some damn personal accountability for your business. If you've seen people moved into your hierarchy you didn't see before, take responsibility for it. Like, it's so easy to blame other people for the things that are happening to you. Well, guess what? Make things happen. Things don't happen to you. You allow them to happen in so many cases. So I'm going to wrap up my thoughts on today, since I know our time is brief. Take ownership for your business. You control the results. You can make things happen. You can go out and order leads on Insurance Toolkit, get them over the weekend, and get out there on Monday and sell insurance. It's that simple. You don't need anybody but yourself and your credit card to make that happen. You need one carrier contract. I don't care what your level is. One product to sell, and people are going to want it if you show up and offer it. So don't allow all these other things to get in the way. You control the outcome. If you have money that you need to make, mouths to feed, and a life to live, go out there and provide for yourself and take some ownership over the results.
And like, share, comment, and please do what you can to share our episodes with others. Do what you can to help us out, because that's only going to help more people in the industry get better. So, do it. That's how you can help us out. Like it and share it and let other people know about this. And we'd love to have more and more people on every Friday too. But I'm not just talking about our Friday event. I'm talking about, we have our podcast, we have our YouTube channel. A lot of you might be currently watching or listening if you're not watching it live. And like I said, like it and subscribe it and let other people know. And we really do appreciate your help and support with that. So thank you.
Comment below, comment on whatever thing you're watching us on. We get a lot of views. We get hundreds of views, especially now that we're taking our Friday conversations into Dynamic Fridays and taking it for all the social media to see. Hundreds of views. But comment. It doesn't take that hard to say hi, where you're watching from, what you liked, what shirt you wish I wasn't wearing. Comment. We appreciate it. Adam, I appreciate you taking it. There you go. Questions. What do you want us to talk about?
Yeah. Give us some ideas even for some future episodes. We're always looking to, for new content and just new ideas. So, heck, if you're someone who even wants to be on a call with us or on one of our podcasts, let us know. We're always open to having people on and sharing new ideas. So
absolutely. Aaron commented on Facebook as well. We appreciate that. If you guys watched it today, tomorrow, or in 10 years, we'll look a little bit different then, but comment, we look pretty young today. Adam, I appreciate you taking time and taking accountability and taking the hour to do Dynamic Fridays with me today.
Hey, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Chris.